Hi, welcome to my channel, Mostly Knitting. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're new here, I'm Tash, and this is a podcast where I talk mostly about the knitting that I've been doing, and I also put out regular tutorials. So it's Thursday, the 18th of September, and I'm recording from Sydney, Australia. It should be a fairly short episode today because although I've done a fair bit of knitting, it's been mostly concentrated on a few projects. So if I have other works in progress, and I have quite a few that I haven't touched since last video, I just won't go into them at all this week because that would be boring for both of us. So I'm going to start with my finished object. I just have the one. This is the Millie dress by Sandnes Garn, and I knit it out of the recommended yarn, which is Alpaca Silk by Sandnes Garn, and that is colorway 6081, which is a really lovely inky navy. On some monitors it seems to show as a grey, but it's definitely a really lovely dark navy. So this yarn and pattern were gifted to me by Sandnes Garn as part of a collaboration with Yarniecopia. Yarniecopia is selling Sandnes Garn yarn and kits, so like the pattern and the yarn to go with a particular pattern on some of the booklets and some of the new releases, like this is from the summer collection and there's a recent winter collection. So you can purchase the yarn either individually in lots of 10 if it's a winter yarn, or 5, minimum 5 if it's a summer yarn like the Lene or the Tin Lene. Anyway, you can go and check it out on the website. The kits that are available at the moment, from what I understand, at the moment it looks like this might be the last month that Erica from Yarniecopia will be offering kits because it's quite expensive with shipping. So yeah, if you've got your eye on one of those, maybe now's the time to get that. So let me talk about this. I love this dress. I'm so happy with it. It's I knit the smallest size, which is an 83 centimeter bust or 33 inches. The gauge is meant to be 27 stitches over 4 inches. Mine must have been a little bit tighter because after blocking it comes out as 31 inches. So I'd say maybe I was getting more like 28 stitches. I used the recommended needle size of 3mm. And it weighs 267 grams, so it's very lightweight, so just over 5 50-gram balls in the dress. I'll stand up and show you. It does look a little bit different to the pattern, so I'll talk to you, the pattern photos, I'll talk to you about the changes that I made. So I'll stand back so you can see how I made it pretty much the standard length. Actually, I'll wait till I come closer to the mic to give you the details. I'll show you the back. I mean, it's stockinette, right? But if you can see the drape on that, it's really, really lovely and very flowy. It's not a twirly skirt, but it's definitely very drapey, and it's not clingy at all. I don't think it is. Yes, so the yarn is really lovely and drapey. It's a 70% alpaca, 30% mulberry silk blend because it's fingering weight. It's obviously very lightweight, and just because of the nature of alpaca and silk, it has a lot of drape to it. There's quite a few increases that are just underneath like in 4 points under the bust on the front and same position on the back. And even though it's 31 inches here, the final hem width for me was 45 inches. And I followed all of the pattern increases. Maybe if I was on gauge, it might be slightly wider, but generally, like I did all of the increases working down the body. My length from the underarm is 26.5 inches. Which I think is pretty good because it is curling just a little bit because of the nature of the stockinette. Some of the other things that I did differently. Oh, actually, I will just tell you the neckline I did as per pattern. I picked up the recommended number of stitches. You go up a needle size, 2 needle sizes actually. So the body's on 3mm. You go up to a 3.5 and do an I-cord bind off, which in this case is a pretty small I-cord. So just knit 1, knit 2 together through the back loop, put them back. Knit 1, knit 2 together through the back loop, put those 2 stitches back all the way around. Now normally with an I-cord bind off you would go down a needle size or 2 because it can be a little bit larger and flary. But I think because of the neckline, because it's sitting on your body and it's sort of, you've got the weight of the whole dress, it actually is totally fine. Like, I don't know if you can see, it's rolling just a tiny bit, but it doesn't feel like it's flaring. And it also, I think that would, if you went down needle sizes, it would maybe be a little bit tight around the neck, and I think this sits really beautifully. The other changes that I made though, the pattern itself has a sleeve that comes out like a rectangle. So you're meant to pick up, I think 92 stitches for my size and just knit straight out. And then I think you go up a needle size couple of needle sizes and make it a little bit bigger and then just bind off normally. I definitely didn't do that. I didn't really want it to sort of stick out in an angle. I really wanted it to have more like a rounded shape. So I did to this pattern what I've done with other patterns before, where basically if you've got what's effectively like a vest, like a straight down at your, like a set-in sleeve where you would normally perhaps stop for a vest and put a ribbing or something on it, you can just pick up the stitches and then work short rows and I did mention that I was going to do this last episode, work short rows until you consume sort of all of the stitches except for the underarm ones, and then you start working in the round. There is a pattern, the first time I actually did this, I followed a pattern that was written like that. It's called Rain by Alexis Winslow. That's one of like the Brooklyn Tweed sort of, collection. It's a really lovely cardigan, like a nice open front with a very lovely cable detail, very like a really, really well written pattern. And it actually has that construction written into it. And I think sometimes when you're doing something new, it's quite nice to do it for the first time where someone actually holds your hand. And then you're like, oh, right, okay, that's how you do it. And then you apply that to another pattern where they don't show you, but you apply the same principles. So following instructions from that pattern, or that concept from that pattern, and also Barbara Walker's Knitting from the Top, I have done that to many other patterns. One that comes to mind is Larch by Amy Christophers. Another one that's sort of, name's escaping me. I'll put it on there. Put it down below, like a navy blue cardigan, the Acer cardigan, another one by Amy Christophers. She does quite a lot of that, both bottom up, but then you sort of, later you were meant to do sleeves and then sew them in, but this way you get to actually pick up the stitches and work down, then you get the sleeve length right, yada yada, all of that. So the other book that talks about this technique is Elizabeth Doherty, Top Down, Reimagining, Set in Sleeves, something like that. So yeah, there's quite a bit. If you like this idea and you want to be able to modify a pattern for that, I really highly recommend Knitting from the Top by Barbara Walker, and maybe trying a pattern that actually has it written into it first, so you feel a bit more confident then changing it to doing something else where you're changing it. Even if you buy one of those patterns and think, maybe I'm not ready to knit it now, but I'd like the information and the instruction from it, maybe I'll knit it later. And then I'll go to the one that I actually want to do. Anyway, because I was doing a different kind of sleeve, I didn't want to pick up 92 stitches. And generally for this kind of construction, although it's not a hard and fast rule, when I've done it, it seems to always be that you roughly pick up one stitch for every 2 rows. So you pick up one, skip a row, pick up one, skip a row. It does make it quite easy then, because I had 66 rows on the front and the back, which means I just picked up 66 stitches, and I had 8 stitches cast on under the arms, so I had 74. Then I knit 10 rounds. After doing the back and forths. So you knit to, I am putting out a whole video on this, but I just can't help myself. I get so excited about it. I want to share at least the concept here and then more detail. I did actually video myself doing the second sleeve. You generally knit to, from the underarm, 2/3 of the way around, which for me with 74 stitches was about 47. Now with 74 stitches, no, was it 47? Something like that. I can't remember the exact numbers. In my other video, I'll mention it exactly. So you go I think that was 2/3 of the way around, 47. So I put a marker at exactly 37, which is half of 74. And then because I had to knit 47 stitches, I knit 10 past the marker. Then at that point, I turn and then come back and purl to the marker and then purl another 10. And you wrap and turn. Now, I just followed the instructions from Rain where you wrapped and turned. I've never done anything different, like you wrap and turn when you go do the short rows. But then you don't pick up the wraps. So every other time I've done this, I've just followed that. I've never tried to change it to a German short row. I've never tried to pick up the wraps. I just went, well, I liked how it looked with Rain, so I'll do it the same way on everything else. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But that's not to say you can't change it up. I just never have. The only time I think, actually, well, let me just finish that off. So what you do is you sort of knit to 10 past the marker, then purl to 10 past the marker. Then you knit to the wrapped and including the wrapped stitch, which is actually stitch number 11, right? Because you knit 10 and then wrapped the 11th stitch. Then you knit 11, which includes the wrap stitch, wrap and turn the next one. Come back, purl to 11 past the marker, wrap and turn 12, 12, 13, 13, 14, 14, till you get onto the underarm stitches. Now you don't do this over the underarm stitches because they're kind of flat. They're not going up you don't want to have all of the short rows going around your underarm. So, or you don't need it. Like you've already shaped the sleeve cap at that point. So then instead of on the very last one, you just then start working in the round. The only thing is I got a little bit of a hole on the very last one, which you sometimes do even with German short rows, but it's better with German short rows. So I'd say probably if I was to do this again on the very last one on each side, I'd probably switch it up to a German short row. I'm going to show you what it looks like actually. Here is the top where none of these were short rows because it's 10 from each side, but can you see here? This is the effect of the wrap and turn, which I think just looks quite nice. I like it. And I've woven in my ends and closed up those holes, and I think hopefully I've shaved my arms. And I think that looks fine. That's, yeah, maybe I need to go back a little bit there, but that's actually not too bad. So that was then 10 rows afterwards, and then same thing with the sleeve, because I was doing a totally different kind of sleeve than the pattern. I didn't want to follow the ending of the pattern to go up a needle size and have it just would have looked weird with this. So I did the same finishing treatment here for the sleeve, but because the sleeve wasn't going to have the weight of the neckline on it, I just stayed with the 3mm needle because I thought if I go up to a 3.5, it's going to flare because it doesn't have anything sort of pulling on it to sort of settle it. Same with the hem. I mean, you can't really see it, but actually, how can I show you? I probably can't show you. I'll put a picture of it up there. With the hem, yeah, you can't really see. No, you can't see it all. That's just ridiculous. It is rolling quite a bit, but I don't know. When I say quite a bit, maybe if I sit down and I show it to you, but you won't be able to see my undies if I'm pulling it up here. Okay, there we go. Totally modest. There we go. You can see now, but you can't see anything. Can you see how much it's curling a little bit? So I didn't pin it when I blocked it. I just laid it flat and smoothed it out. And I actually don't mind that little bit of a roll. I think that's okay. I went down to a 2.75mm for this here. 2.75. So it is, it's curling a bit, but not crazy. But I feel like if I had I don't know. I mean, I could pin it, but I'm all right with it. I actually feel like with it rolling up just a tiny bit, it's kind of the perfect length. So now I'll sit on it again. Yeah, gosh, I've been talking about this for like 12 minutes, so I hope I haven't bored you. I think that's all I have to say on it, which I think is probably enough at 12 minutes. So yeah, that's it for my finished objects. Before I go, I will just say I'm going to insert a little video of myself from a week ago with an acquisition, and then I'll be back after that. One acquisition that just came in recently is a sock set. Now this was actually dyed up by Elsa with Erica. So I sent Elsa an inspiration photo, myself and a few other podcasters, and Elsa dyed up some yarn for us with Erica. They had a bit of a day of it. So actually I'll show you my inspiration photo. Maybe I'll show them together. So this is a picture that my daughter Alex was, with like textures was coloring in. And so it made me so happy with all these colors. And actually I'll just show the speckled one up nice and close. I think Elsa did a great job of representing all those different colors, the yellows, this kind of like tealy green, the blue, the pink, the red, in this little speckled set without it turning brown and mushy. So yeah, that'll be really fun. I don't know that I'm trying to think if I've done many socks with contrasting heel, cuff and toes. I don't actually think I don't even know if I've done any like that. So that would be new for me. I kind of would have thought maybe I would have done the speckled as the main sock and the solid color as the cuff, heel and toes. So it'd be really interesting to sort of do it in like a reverse where this is the main part of the sock and this is the embellishment. But I actually think that will work really well because the pattern that I plan to make is the Seroto socks. And so that's Ali, who's Fiberbound on YouTube. That's her new design. And I think that will probably actually, the design itself will show up a little bit better in the blue. So I'm very excited. That is an acquisition and a plan. So I'm actually recording this a little bit earlier than my normal podcast because I want to get these wound up and get started on these as my treadmill netting. So Elsa dyed these up for us, but she's also going to be offering up for pre-order sock set skeins. Try and say that fast. I think for pre-order starting mid-October. I think she's going away for a little bit, so she'll be able to, they'll be up on Yarniecopia. The plan is mid-October for shipping early November. So if you, I'll be showing this off on the podcast, see how you like it. And also some of the other podcasters who've received yarn will be showing that on theirs. And if you like the colors or like the colorways and wanted to put in a pre-order, that should be up around mid-October. I currently have 10 works in progress and 8 of them are knitting, 1 crochet and 1 weaving, but only 3 out of those 10 got any action this week. One of them is a new one, so I'll start with that, and that is the Seroto socks by Payne. And this, I mentioned, I think I should have just inserted the video of this yarn when it was in a skein, and here it is wound up. Because this is only a 20 gram mini, so this is 100 grams and a 20 gram mini, it's kind of all falling apart when I wound it on my ball winder. So I probably need to rewind it because it's falling everywhere. I'll just show you the yarn first. So pretty and happy, and yeah, just loads of lovely colors in there, but they have really retained their integrity and haven't sort of all melded together. So you can really see the pink, the aqua, the yellow, what else have we got in there? Yeah, like a blue as well that matches this blue. So the Seroto socks are top down. I'm using a 2.25 millimeter needle. This has a slightly longer cuff than I usually do. So the pattern says 20 rows. And I normally do a little bit shorter than that, but I thought I'm going to just do this exactly as written. Although of course you can choose however long you want for your cuff. I'm going to try and grab that so it doesn't hit. And then here, this is an 8 stitch repeat that I've got in the blue. It's very simple textured stitch. You can see exactly what you need to do. And I am such a tight knitter with socks. These are going to be, I think these will be fine. They always are fine for me, unless I think I'll have to be careful if I ever do any colourwork socks. I've never done colourwork socks actually, but I'm sure I will at some point. But yeah, even though I started pretty loose, like I just did a long tail cast on to start, and look how nice and loose and stretchy that is. And I was quite loosey-goosey as I went, but then I just tighten up so quickly. Anyway, it'll be fine. They always do fit, but yeah, I am just pretty tight. And it's hard on my hands, so I just have to, I really can't knit for more than half an hour on socks. I have been knitting on these on the treadmill, but usually if I'm on the treadmill I walk for an hour, so I can only do like half an hour on this and then half an hour on something else. The yarn itself is Nundle Woolen Mill, which is like a local Australian mill, and it's a 75 merino 25% nylon blend. I think it's like 400 meters in 100 grams, so I'll have plenty of yarn. I'm sure I'll be able to make a pair of skimmer socks for the leftovers. But I think they're really happy, and I'm pretty sure I will. I weighed this, and it is just over 20 grams. I just have to make sure if I have enough for the cuff and the toes as well. Hopefully I will. Anyway, this is my colorway that Ailsa dyed up for me, and I just watched Ailsa's podcast recently, and she has this gorgeous sort of minty green with a highlight like a really bright pink for hers. And then there are a few other podcasters, like I think it's Emily from Pepper Knits and Ash from Smash Knits, and of course Ailsa as well. It's probably Ali as well from Fiberbound. And then Elsa has her own. So Elsa, I think from mid-October, Yarniecopia is going to put up some pre-orders for these colorways as a set of this one or the other ones that Elsa has dyed up. I'm sure you'll see them on the various podcasters once they podcast between now and then. And yeah, so you can do a pre-order on Yarniecopia, and then Elsa will dye them up, and I think they'll ship early November. So that's my first new work in progress. The Seroto socks, haven't done a top-down sock in a long time. No, that's not true. I'm doing the Comfort Core socks. That's one of my 10 whips that I did count that one in there. That is sitting on the needles. I have quite a few 2.25 millimeter needles, so yeah, but you know, I want to do this one now because I want to get this one finished and shown so people can actually see it. So you know, it's even when you see it in the skein, it's hard to tell what it's going to look like knit up. So at least now you can actually see what it looks like knit up. So yep, that's my one new work in progress. My next work in progress is the Mindy Sweater Chunky Edition by Sandnes Garn, and I'm knitting this out of Sandnes Garn Double Sunday and alpaca, the alpaca lace weight, and I'm holding 2 strands of the alpaca lace weight and 1 strand of the Double Sunday. The pattern is written for Peer Gynt and Tin Silk Mohair, just one of each. But I feel like the alpaca is definitely lighter than the Tin Silk Mohair, so I'm holding 2 of those together. But I think you could get away with 1, I'm pretty sure. I've made this sweater before, but the 23 stitch gauge with Sunday, not Double Sunday, but Sunday, which is a fingering weight, and 1 strand of the alpaca lace weight. And my gauge was definitely a bit tighter than with the Tin Silk Mohair, so I've substituted that a couple of times because I just find this a little bit softer on my skin. But I think with the heavier version you could probably get away with just 1 strand of this. Anyway, and the colour is 4372, which is deep burgundy or dip burgund, and that is sort of seems to be the colour of the moment. So yeah, I've made quite a bit of progress on this. I've done the neckline, so it has like a deep neckline version, like more of a turtleneck, and then more just like sorry about the clanking, more like a funnel neck version, which is what the version I've chosen here. So this is only like 7 centimeters, and I think the larger one is maybe 22 centimeters, so definitely like big and maybe rolled over. I'm using the recommended needles, which is 5mm needles, and the gauge is meant to be 16 stitches over 4 inches, but I've just blocked this because I wanted to check for growth on the sleeve, and mine was 18 before blocking and then 17 after, so mine's a tiny bit smaller. I'm knitting the smallest size, but it is still coming out like around 42 inches, I think. So it is pretty big, but it's meant to be oversized, right? That's the design. I am literally almost finished. I was going to try and finish this sleeve before recording, but anyway, I didn't. So it's on a 5mm needle. I've got it's meant to have quite deep cuffs. I've probably got about another 6 to 8 rows because it will pull up a little bit, like. I think I've got 8. I've been putting this on top of my old my sort of caramel non-chunky version, the 23 stitch gauge version, and just laying it on top of it because I really like the dimensions of that, and it's like the same design but with a different yarn. So so I've done the neckline, I've almost finished the sleeve. I stopped on the body where I just finished a ball of Sunday, so I still have 2 balls of the alpaca attached here. So I've been juggling quite a bit, so I'm really looking forward to getting this sleeve finished. Then I'm actually not even, because it's a fairly deep ribbing as well, I don't even have that much stock in it to go, and then I'll be onto the ribbing. So I'll finish this, and then the last sleeve. Interestingly, like even though like my gauge is obviously larger, so there's a lot less stitches in this than say the dress, every stitch takes longer on this because I'm just so much. This 3mm needle with the 1 strand of alpaca silk, like I'm like knitting so quickly, whereas this I'm much more like a bit slow. So I'm not as slow. I'm not so slow that this is still going quicker because there's about 3 times as many stitches in the dress in a 4-inch square in the dress than there is in this. So I'm not 3 times as slow, but I'm still slower. And it's also a little bit hard on my hands because it's fairly dense. So, and maybe that's just my fault for using 2 strands of the alpaca. Maybe I didn't need to, but it will definitely be a very warm sweater. And yeah, we're like, I don't know if you can, well, you can't tell how hot it is just by the fact that it's sunny outside, but it has been warming up here in Sydney. We are moving into, we're in spring. We do our spring from like the 1st of September. That's when we say spring is. I know other places say like the 22nd, but we just do it by the first day of the month of September the 1st to December the 31st. November the 30th. That's spring. December the 1st to whatever it is, end of February is summer. Anyway, whatever. This isn't a podcast about seasons, but I'm obviously knitting for the season. I won't be wearing this that much anytime soon. Even though I am going to Europe in November, I'm not sure that I would pack this. It will be cold enough for it, I'm sure, but I just think this is such a heavy sweater. I will pack one warm one, but I think I might, because this will probably weigh quite a bit. I don't know. I haven't I'll do a video of what I end up packing if people are interested. But I'm just not sure if this one, even though this should be finished before will be finished before I go, I'm not sure if I'll take this one with me. But it would be nice. Like it is nice. And it would keep me, like I like something that will keep my neck warm as well. Anyway, this, I wanted to mention as well, I might just take it off because I just keep clanking and it's so annoying. Nobody needs to hear that. And I think you've got the gist of what it looks like. Yeah, I'm really, really happy with that, and I'm liking how it's coming along. I should be finished that by the next podcast. So that yarn and pattern were gifted to me by Sandnes Garn as part of the collaboration with Yarniecopia, and that yarn, that kit for the Mindy sweater, Chunky, and this kit is also available on the Yarniecopia website. So you don't have the same restrictions in terms of number of balls if you're buying a kit. You can buy whatever the number is for your particular size in the kit. So if you buy the kit, you don't have the same kind of yarn number minimums, if that makes sense. But the other thing I thought I'd show, because I forgot to show it last time, when Sandnes Garn sent the package, it was so lovely because they sent, just looked so nice together. I'm not going to talk about the Nova skirt, but they sent yarn for the Nova skirt, which I have already started. But I had it was sort of the grey for the, sort of a beige for the Nova skirt, the blue for the alpaca silk, the burgundy double Sunday, and they just looked so nice together. And they also sent a few little sweet and very useful things for me. One was this little, like a little, I'm sure a lot of people have these. I don't actually have one of those. It's a really, what do you call it? Like a gauge ruler, just nice. You can sit it on top, just makes it a bit easier. And a tape measure, because I never have enough of those, but it's a really nice covered one, and it goes really smoothly. And a project, like a little, well, I guess a project bag or a bag to hold all your stuff in. So I really appreciate that. It was really nice to have a few little extras. I mean, the yarn itself is pretty amazing too, but I don't know, you just feel it's like a present when you get something in the mail. So anyway, I'm really, really happy with this one, and I'm really enjoying how that Mindy sweater is coming along. So that's my second work in progress. My second. I can count. My second. My third work in progress is Dotted Rays by Stephen West, and I'm knitting that out of Madelinetosh MCN fingering in the colourway Nocturne. I've used this yarn. I got 3 skeins of this on Destash. I used one of it for a ripple camisole, and I've got 2 skeins left to use for Dotted Rays. So I am actually in the middle of a row, but to be honest, I've got it on such a short cable, I don't know that even if I wasn't, you'd be able to see it very well. So I'll just show you how it lines up. You've got all of these short rows, and you get these like holes that line up like that. And then I'm almost sort of finished this short row here. So I'll just show you, it's a very easily memorized pattern. Every time you do a short row, you knit until, like, at the moment, it changes every row or every section, but at the moment it's 13 stitches. So you can really see that they line up. You could tell pretty much right away if you are off. But what I do is I've got a marker here, and that is 13 stitches from the last one. So I know that I just need to knit to the marker. Just quickly knit that, and then take the marker off, turn my work. Probably kind of gross putting that in your mouth. Then turn my work, then I'll knit 13. I'm sure you understand what I mean, but 1, 2. So I've knit 13 now, and then I'll put a marker there, and then just knit to the end, so that when I come back, I don't have to sit and count or be going, like, how many am I? I've already counted it at the start, and I can just knit to the marker, turn around. It's only one tiny little bit of counting at the other end, which I think is a bit easier than counting until 13 stitches from the end. I mean, you can't get away without counting, but like, I find that easier. So that's all I've got left of the first ball, which is, let me see, maybe 30 grams. I'm going to weigh that later and see how close I was. That 30 grams, and then I've got another whole skein. So there's quite a bit to go. When I've made this before, this is my third version, I have done the small and then like one extra wedge. but each wedge sort of gets increasingly using more yarn. But I've weighed it from previous versions, so I should have a pretty good idea of, with the amount of yarn that I have left, will I get another wedge out? Because you can't really, like, once you've committed to the next wedge, it's pretty hard to, like, you've kind of got to do all of these sections. So you either have enough for another one, or you just go, right, that's it. And you may still have 20, 30 grams left, but you know, you won't, if you don't have enough to do another wedge, forget about it. And I think I also, because it's got an I-cord bind off, that uses quite a bit of yarn too, and I weighed it last time. I think it was something like maybe 8 grams. It's all in my project page on Ravelry. I put all of that stuff on there. So yes, that's it for my works in progress that have actually had any attention. The other ones, I mean, I think there's a fair bit of knitting, right? So I haven't been a slacker, but yeah, I mean, I knit a dress, right? And it was fingering weight, so this has taken a while. But in saying that, it kind of hasn't, because it's all stockinette. And like the sleeve cap took a little bit more attention, because I was kind of like, but even that, the sleeve took maybe 2 hours. So, you know, and then although I had a lot of stitches on the needles, it was just round and round and round stockinette, and the stitches themselves were moving very, very quickly, because it was very easy on my hands too, which I have to say is very nice. So yep, that's it for my active works in progress. Moving on to my acquisitions and plans. I've already shown you the acquisition of the sock yarn from Ailsa and Erica. I do have a couple of other things to show. These actually, I bought some needles from some Chiagoo needle sets from Yarn Trader, and they actually arrived before the last podcast, but I forgot to show them. Now, I'd already had this little Chiagoo mini set, which is really handy, like the little small tips and cables for doing sleeves for the ranunculus. So that was very handy. And I just felt like when I was doing the sleeves for this here, my 40 centimeter just wasn't, it was just a little bit too long. So I'm either going to magic loop or use a traveling loop with a really long cable, which I can. But I thought, you know what, with the amount of knitting I do, it is just nice to be able to have little mini sets. It's not what I do like in most of my knitting, because the way that I knit, I do prefer to have a longer shaft of the needle. But I thought, you know what, it's handy to have. So I bought 2 new Chiagoo mini sets in the 2 different sizes. I can't remember which one's which. I think this is the little one and this is the medium, and this is the large. I already had this one. So yeah, I got these 2 from the Yarn Trader in Adelaide, and it shipped really, really quickly. I think also because I had never bought from them before, and I signed up for their newsletter, I got 10% off. So that's a good time. Like if you sort of have in mind, you want to get something, if you know a yarn company or a yarn store does that kind of promotion for your first purchase, maybe tie it in with when you want to get something like a large needle set. So that I'd already bought. The only other thing that I did get some yarn. Not a lot, but there was a lady destashing on the Australian Knitters forum, and she had some Madelinetosh. I do love Madelinetosh yarn. And I got some more Nocturne. So she had Nocturne in, this is the MCN Sport. And yeah, you know what? I used this yarn for my Alpine, this colour for my Alpine Bloom. The base is Nocturne as well, but that was in the Tosh Merino Light. So clearly I like this colour. It does look pretty similar on all the bases, but this is their MCN Sport. So I got 2 skeins of this, which is 230 meters each, 460 meters. And I thought I will make because I'm going to Europe and I'm visiting friends and I'm doing a little bit of gift knitting. The dotted rays is a gift. I thought I would hold this with I've got just over 2, maybe 2.5 balls left, 2 2/3, because this dress took 5 1/3 balls of yarn, and I had 8, so I have 2 2/3 of this left, which means I've got 460. There you go. It's a match made in heaven. So this is merino cashmere nylon, and then this is alpaca silk, and like this is a tiny bit lighter, but I think you hold that together. I'm going to make a Sophie shawl, and it would be like easy to be able to, like with a Sophie shawl. I've made one before with Cardiff cashmere. That was heavenly soft. This one is going to be just lovely and soft as well, but a bit more heft to it, with a sport like Madelinetosh MCN Sport with the alpaca silk. So holding those together, I think that's going to be really nice. I will you never know when you hold two things together, are they going to be good or not? But I think they should be good. So that's the plan anyway. To some degree, it would be nice if this was a bit fluffier, but this actually, alpaca has a little bit of a fluff. I think they'll be good, and it might, because there's a slight difference in value, there might be a little bit of marling, which might add a little bit of interest. So I'm fingers crossed those two together look quite nice. So that's an acquisition and a plan. And because I was buying this, I was, of course, having a look at the other yarn that this Ravelry user was selling. So she actually had some Madelinetosh chunky on her site. Now, I don't knit a lot with chunky yarn, but I got 2 of this Well Water, which I do like. It's a really lovely sort of greeny blue. And then this one is Moonstone, which is a beautiful, like a lavender grey. So I got 2 of each. When I'm going to Europe, I'm staying with some people that have children that might want to learn to knit. Whether they want to or not, I don't know. I already talked to a couple of the friends and said, look, I'll bring yarn and needles if they want to give it a go. So I am quite evangelical with my knitting. I think it's been such a beautiful, nurturing, wonderful craft that I'm trying to think. Obviously, I've been knitting since I was young, but not obviously, but I have been knitting since I was 8. But knitting every day for about 17 years, and it's just, it's gotten me through a lot of difficult times, a lot of joyful times. It's just, I love it. And so I know it's not for everyone, but I think you don't know till you try. And maybe it's not knitting, maybe it's something else. I think crafting or creating is very nurturing. And if it's not knitting, maybe it's something else. Maybe it's painting, maybe it's drawing, maybe it's woodworking, maybe it's, I don't know, maybe gardening even, because you see things grow. Anyway, I don't know if these girls will be into it, or boys. There's a couple of boys as well. But I thought these would be good because 2 skeins is definitely enough. I reckon even 1 skein's enough for a hat, but there's a girl and a boy at one place, 2 girls and 2 boys at another, but one of the boys is 6, so that's too young. But yeah, hopefully there's and I do have some other yarn as well, so I'll take some with me. Hopefully they'll enjoy it, and yeah, they're my acquisitions at least anyway. And if they're not into it, I'm sure I'll just make a hat and gift it to them or something. So yes, so that's is that it? That's it for my yarn acquisitions. I do have a couple of pattern acquisitions. The Melbourne Mitts, Kath Martin, she's an Australian. She's got a lovely podcast as well, Mindful Melbourne Maker. She designs patterns as well, and she designed the Melbourne Mitts, and she gifted me that pattern. So that is a really lovely fingerless mitt pattern that uses 50 grams of fingering weight yarn. So thank you, Kath. That's a lovely gift. I probably won't be making them anytime soon because it's getting warm here, although you never know. For going to Europe in November, it might be nice to just have a little bit of, keep my fingers free, but have my hands a little bit warmer. And the other pattern is one that I picked up from Toronto when it was free. I don't know if it's still free. The Daniela Pullover by Claudia Quintanilla. I don't know if she says Quintanilla or Quintanilla. Anyway, she's the designer and the owner of UNIT Toronto. And if you're signed up to the newsletter, you get quite often, I can never tell when it is, but just you get the newsletter, and then sometimes there's a free pattern, or there's a pattern that is a paid for pattern, but there's a code. You put in the code, it's free on Ravelry, and then you can download it. So this one is a really lovely top-down sweater with some twisted rib detail around the neck and down the raglan. And there's some short rows to shape the neckline, and I'm pretty sure it's a sport weight, designed for a sport weight pattern. So they're my 2 pattern acquisitions for the episode. I'll just do a quick little sewing segment. I have actually made some progress on my Babylon leather bag. I have made it almost halfway, and I've just run out of thread. So that just sort of ends up being where I stop briefly, but I was definitely on a roll, and I've got some thread already lined up, and I'm hoping that by this weekend I'll have all of that done. It looks like it's inside out, well, as in like I'm attaching this incorrectly, but this is actually the inside of the bag, And then that's actually the outside there. And the reason that this looks like the outside is that sort of sits over the other side. So it's going to be a bit of a mission to sort of turn it the right way around. But there's a video on it. There's videos on all of this. So yeah, I'm fingers crossed this is done by the next episode, because I really want to start using it. It's a really lovely bag. This is the, like the Birkin lookalike bag. So I think all I've got to do is finish the bottom bit. So you can see here, like I'm attaching the base with this, I don't know if you can actually, it's too hard for me to, well, maybe I can, it's too hard to show you probably here now. It's piping, right? So if you've ever done any sewing, you've got like this thing, this cord here with this that wraps around it, so that you sort of see that like around the edge on the bottom. Hopefully you'll see next episode when it's actually all completely done. That's, how it's going to look. Well, that will be the outside of it after I've turned it around, and I've also got to attach an inner pocket. But yeah, I think it actually, I got on quite a roll. Both my husband and I were doing our bags together, and so yeah, I'm really hoping that will be finished by next episode. If you think you might be interested in getting one of the kits from Babylon Leather, there is a link in the description below with the code MOSTLYKNITTING10, and if you use that, you can get 10% off a bag that you purchase. I think they've got 20% off already, and then with that code you get an extra 10% off. And then that is an affiliate link though, so I do receive a portion of the proceeds. But if you're going to buy from there anyway, it won't cost any more to you, but that's a way that you can support the podcast. Yeah, they're really fun, and yeah, hopefully I'll have a finished one for next week. That's it for the crafting content of the video. So if you're leaving me now, if you could, do the usual like and subscribe. But I think YouTube has some special thing called hype now, where if you particularly like a podcast, you can hype it, and then maybe that helps it get exposed to more people who may not have seen it. So if you like this video and you think it's hype worthy, please feel free to do that, to hype it. Onto my personal stuff. It's my son's birthday today. My son Zach, he's my youngest, and he's 18. So all of my children are adults now. We are going to go out for dinner tonight with the family and his girlfriend and his grandma, which will be really lovely. And then he's got his 18th birthday party here on Saturday night. It should be pretty tame. It's not a very large group. And they're all really lovely kids, and I know them. So yeah, so that's Saturday night. And then what else is coming up? I've got only just one more week after this week, because it's Thursday now, end of this week, then one more week of school, and then school holidays. So, and straight after the school holidays, so I think Friday the 26th, the 27th, I'm teaching short rows and fair isle, 2 classes at my local yarn store, Skein Sisters. So that's on Saturday. And then Sunday is Fiberfest in Wyong. So if you're anywhere in like the Sydney region, where like a whole bunch of knitters from my knitting guild, and I'm sure like other people are all catching the train up to, you could drive, but we're catching the train up to Wyong, and we're meeting at Central and then catching the train up. I think it's like maybe a 2-hour train trip. I'm not sure. I've never been. But some people have said that that's like their favorite sort of local trip of the year, their activity to do. So, and I love being on trains. I can always knit on a train, and it's always nice too when you get company going together. So that's going to be Sunday the 28th of September, and I know that Ailsa will be there, and she's running the fashion show, so that will be really fun. I'll get to see that, and there'll be lots of vendors, and yeah, food, although I don't know, I'll probably take snacks because I hate waiting in line for food. So, but yeah, like I'm just thinking back to Bendigo. I think I waited like 45 minutes for lunch there, but that was totally worth it. That was like this lovely lamb and veg salad and veggies. It was so good. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. That's on that Sunday. So if you're in the area, if you want to come up, I think it'll be hopefully a fun day, and I plan to record soon after that. So I'll report back next episode after that, just before the end of September. Other than that, I've got school holidays, which is going to be really lovely. It will mostly be occupied with catching up with friends, what I usually do in the school holidays, and also helping my son with his maths leading up to his final exams. And other than that, also just getting ready to go overseas. My flights are booked, my rail tickets are booked. I've booked some accommodation. I still have to book the accommodation in Paris. I haven't done that yet. Got my travel insurance. And then just like starting to plan, packing and the things that I haven't done like a long haul flight in a while. I think Japan was a few years ago now. But this is going to be a lot longer. Like flying to Europe. I've never flown from Australia to Europe. I've been to Europe. Oh, maybe I have. Maybe when I was like 1996. Like how long ago was that? That's embarrassing. It's like 30 years ago. Yeah. So I'm a lot older and a lot creakier with my joints and everything. And I can't imagine I'll sleep as well on the plane. So whatever will help me, new fashion neck pillows and things. And so I kind of feel like I need to spend a bit of time figuring out what I'm going to take. And because I'm traveling by myself, I don't want to have a wheelie suitcase, so I need to get like a backpack carry-on so that I'll have my like luggage in the hold, which is a wheel suitcase, but I don't want to be like 2 wheel suitcases trying to like navigate traveling by myself. So when I went to Bendigo with Beck, I flew down with 2 wheelie suitcases for the weekend. So embarrassing. And they were full. I totally reached the weight limit. I mean, I did buy stuff too, but because I knew I could, I just packed more. Anyway, I can't do that going to Europe. I'm traveling by myself. Beck helped me so much with all my stuff. I won't have that this time, so I'll be by myself. So I've got to, instead of a wheelie carry-on, I've got to buy a backpack carry-on. And I know I can only do it up to 7 kilos anyway, but I still think that would be easier and safer for me to just have a backpack and 1 wheelie suitcase and have 1 hand free. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm probably so boring now. But I'm so excited. Anyway, that's what's upcoming for me. I'm leaving in a bit less than 6 weeks. I'll be on a plane. Very excited. Anyway, hope everyone is enjoying their knitting. Oh yeah, I was thinking what I'm going to pack too. Like what knitting, besides what like clothes I'm going to pack, what knitting I'm going to pack. I'm thinking ripple camisoles. I'm on my 3rd at the moment, but I think that would be such an easy thing to take on a plane or traveling, because I can do it traveling, I can talk, I don't have to be like trying on things. It's a repeat knit. I know exactly, it's mostly 3x3 rib, and then there'll just be a little bit of trickiness. As long as I've got everything wound, and then if I get up to a tricky point in one, I'll just start another one. And then fingering weight yarn is really light. So yep, anyway, that's what's going on for me. Hope everyone is enjoying their knitting and their change of season and enjoying all of the plans and what they plan to make. And yeah, I will be back in maybe about 10 days. I think I plan to record just after the Fibre Fest in Wyong, and I'll share a little bit from that trip. All right, take care, and I'll see you soon.